So let's start off with basically who you are.
Okay, so I'm Sark. I was the victim, I guess you could say, of Todd. Like, I'm the person who made the document. I'm the person who he was talking to in all the screenshots. I was 16 at the time. I'm, of course, older now, but he was 20 at the time.
The first thing I want to ask is what did you send to them? Like in what order did it go? Like you mentioned there was a text, then something else, then something else.
In total, what I sent to the mods was there was the original accusation file, right, which was like, yeah, he's been saying these things to me. So then they asked for evidence, and then, I went and got evidence, but I never got to finish it. So I sent them the unfinished version, the draft document. And then it was kind of a proof of creation that I was working on it because she gave me 2 weeks and I was like, oh, I've got to go through and find like the bad things then. Um, and then there was also then the final one, which I didn't send to Froggy. I sent it to Frains, and then it kind of, because at the end I said it could be like, messaged around and people could share it. That's how it got to Froggy and all that because I had like Froggy blocked after, she didn't reply to me for like a whole last month.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what I did with the document wise.
The
Yeah,
draft document, and then of course eventually the
the final.
66-page one
Yeah.
that everyone knows. What initially happened when they first refused the first document? Because we all know it was refused.
Froggy basically sent me a message that she was doing this mod meeting, and she was like, "I'll come back to you with like what they all thought." And oh, hang on, sorry. It was a vote. Yeah, they did a vote, and I'm pretty sure there was 4 people in there. And then she just came back to me, basically saying, "Yeah, that's not it. Sorry, we've given him a warning," and that was kind of it. And then there was nothing else on it. So I kind of thought that she had just ditched everything. So all of like the clips I had for the document and everything, because I told her it was unfinished, I deleted them all because I was like, I have no chance of redeeming it, of trying again, because they were the highest people I could go to,
Yeah.
and no one else could do anything.
So what do you know about that secret meeting? Do you know anything at all?
I know there was 4 people. It was a vote, so it clearly, it had to be 3 out of 4 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Froggy, Frains, I think Krabby, and then someone else.
Okay.
I I'm not entirely sure on Krabby, but all I knew was that she was there on my behalf apparently, and she called it with the draft document because I don't know if she misread it or if she just went with it because she was sick of me taking so much like time. But
Mm-hmm.
she went in with that, and then she came out saying that he only got a warning.
Yeah,
So
and I'm just gonna mention this now, where she is saying she's having this meeting on your behalf. So she was completely aware was what I was talking about, but just
yeah,
decided
there
to,
was there was a meeting.
yeah.
It was very blatantly there. It was in the actual document itself, like at the end when I was talking about Froggy because of the way she handled it.
Hmm.
And all I know is that no one else below the 4 people who were in there actually knew about it because when the other moderators approached me, they were like, "We didn't know about this," and only they did. So basically, none of them knew that Todd had done all this stuff and that he was a terrible person, but they still kind of, worked with him,
Hmm.
which is kind of bad.
That's that's fucking crazy. So how much time in total did they give you to make the document? So like how many weeks, days, you know?
For me, the original time I think was 2 weeks because it's even in there because Froggy was like, "I gave you 2 weeks." They gave the other person who worked on it 0. I think they gave her like a week, but then she quote unquote ghosted them, but it was because of medical stuff,
Hmm.
which I did tell them, and I put on the original draft document. Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't control her, so they were asking me like for like kind of an apology on her behalf, but I don't control her. She does her own thing.
Yeah.
In total, I think it was only 2 weeks, but then when I wrote the final one, I think Naj gave me like 4 weeks,
Hmm.
or like maybe under that. But it was greatly appreciated what she did, really.
Shout out to Naj on that. What did they say basically about the first document to you? Like, what was everything that you can remember being said?
Um, Hang on. Let me see. Well, with the first document, the draft one, originally all I was given from Froggy, I'm pretty sure was just like she would react to it with like a sticker of like a frog thinking, and then I would reply like, "What do you mean by this?" And then she was like, "Oh yeah, this is a frog looking for evidence or something like that." But
Yeah.
I kind of that's when I was like, "Okay, It's either they didn't look at it or that wasn't enough."
Hmm. I do know of the fact that they And this is not something I can guarantee and prove 100%. And what I've been told that they only had a quick glimpse at it.
I wouldn't be surprised because all she did send me was like stickers, and then the other time I was like asking for something else. I think she sent me like an emoji and then didn't reply for like a week, I think it was. So the
Hmm.
communication on like her end was kind of bad. But apparently it was because she had exams and she was working a full-time job and doing all this. So I was kind of understanding, but then at the same time it was like they basically told me like we're doing this, we're putting all this aside, and I'm pushing all my work and my exams out to figure this out. And I was like, if you have all that stuff, why don't you just give me a little bit more time and then I can just figure it
Yeah,
out.
work in favor of both of you, really.
Yeah, it really would have. But then she kind of um like near the end of it where she got frustrated at me and like kind of mothered me instead of answering my questions about who had sent her more screenshots on Todd, which by the way she never replied to. She completely
Damn.
ignored that part. She was like continuing to talk about my attitude towards her because I was frustrated that she wasn't replying to my messages about Todd, because this was about her moderator, her friend, you know, being a bit of a freaky little guy.
Hmm.
But she just focused on the fact that I was apparently treating her bad or whatever. But it was like I even told her, please don't read it that way, and she still did.
So leading on from what you just said, about Todd being friends, what do you really know about the relation Todd had with Froggy and other people on the staff team?
I'm not sure about other people because I had people come up to me and say that they never really liked him, but I don't know if that's because he was exposed as, one of them kind of people.
Yeah.
But I knew that him and Froggy were friends because sometimes when we were in a call, which was every time we played SCP, by the way, he would like say we had to be in a call or he'd get angry. And when he got angry, he'd like threaten to do stuff. And that's, but he would sometimes screen share the mod chat in SL, or he'd screen
Hmm.
share like his screen and then he'd accidentally like go on Froggy's and they talk. And he'd say that he was friends with Froggy, and that's why he would get away with some stuff like abusing in game. But he also sent me a message with like her asking if he wanted to be a moderator or like he should apply for moderator,
Hmm.
which is why I'm guessing that he is a mod, is because they're friends and he might have got it easier than everyone else. So I'm guessing they were good friends.
But going on from that, um, when you say he could get away with things, like I spoke to you yesterday about, um, I did initially do a report on Todd saying, you know, look, he's doing things in game he shouldn't be doing. He's abusing his power, and she just did nothing about it. Nothing happened.
I think one of the reports that I can recall was that somebody reported in game because every time I would mute in Discord, he would teleport to me or he would teleport me to him because he wanted to talk. Like he was like, it was like I have to talk to you, that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
But he started teleporting me and him in tutorial into one of the towers, and he would keep me there the whole game, even though I'd kind of jokingly go like, haha, I want to get out. But then he wouldn't let me out, and I'd be like, okay, can we go and play the actual game? And he'd say like, no. Someone reported that, I'm pretty sure, because it was seen as mod abuse, but nothing was ever done about it. And like all of the stuff that he would do, like kind of for me especially, I know that there was a report because he kept giving me the intercom voice and I didn't know, so I was yelling so all these people would hear me, but nothing
Yeah.
was done about it, even though it was annoying people, and I even asked him to stop.
Alright, so now I've got the main things I've wanted to ask you out of the way. Is there anything else you really want to add on to that?
The one thing I do want to point out that if there were people who didn't actually read the document, the entire meetup bit, like the one part that surprised me when I was writing it, when I got the information off Narch, was that we were supposed to share a hotel together, but I was never told about this, right? So one of the things that was stated in the document that I asked other people their opinion on before I actually wrote it in there was that I never knew about a hotel room or whatever. So you never know. He couldn't have booked two. He might have just booked one. That kind of
Hmm.
stuff. And he was freaky, so he could have done something a lot worse.
Yeah.
Because I never knew about any of it, and the whole thing kind of stemmed from him magically not having a friend to go with and feeling like really down, be like, "Oh, but I can't get a refund. Do you want to come with me?" And I kind of felt bad, so I was like, "Yeah, sure."
Yeah. And that's him obviously emotionally manipulating you, along with the fact that he said in the original document, which they dismissed,
hmm
about him being a broken faucet, him wanting to kill himself, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, when I originally like confronted him about it, I don't think it's actually in the document. I'm not sure, But when I confronted him about it after everyone was like, "You need to realize that this is a really bad thing, and you need to, see it from someone else's perspective," I originally defended him, like, to other people. I was like, "No, no, it's fine, haha." But then I realized that the only reason I was saying that was so that he would be happy with my kind of reaction to what other people were saying,
Yeah.
because he would keep saying like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna do this. I'm sorry. Family issues are making me want to, die." He'd send me like constantly. He'd send me like memes of like them really like oh, I don't know how to say it, but like edgy kind of depression memes, but they're
Mhm.
like just really they scream like Facebook mom kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd send me those all the time, and I'd be like, okay, this isn't even funny. This is just like a cry for help, basically.
Yeah.
So it kind of yeah. I don't think it was included the part where I confronted him. Maybe I don't remember. But originally, when I confronted him, he started going like, "Go off and play with your other friends. You don't need me. You're too good for me." That kind of stuff. But he kept talking about like how sad he was, and that I was like, "Oh well, things will get better, if you talk to someone." And he was just like, "No, they won't. They won't get better." And then he'd start going on about like how bad it was. This is when I was trying to break things off with him, and I remember I felt bad, but
Mhm.
I was in a call with someone at the time, and they were like, "No, you don't do it. Come on, you got to break things off. We got to
Yeah.
write that document."
I want to rope it back in more so the Freya side of things and how they dealt with it, because all this is relevant in the fact of this is the person who they are clearly favoring and defending and not taking action on.
Yeah.
So, is there anything else regarding either Froggy or any of the other Mon that they just didn't help you with, or they just ignored very
Um.
crucial things?
Well, obviously, it's stuff that was in the original draft, like the fact that he'd ask me kind of about my body. He'd mention stuff like, the meetup to ruin my dad's birthday because I wanted to meet with the 20-year-old, that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
All like that. Those things to me are all like big red flags for someone who's moderating a community, which have a lot of like younger kids in.
Mhm.
But one of the big things was after the document was released, all I got told from people who were moderators at the time was that in the mod chat, Froggy was going off because she was in the document and, we kind of put her in there because of how she dealt with things, and it was kind of to not really expose her, but just to kind of put us light on how badly she did it.
Mhm.
But I got told that she was basically telling everyone that like she was kind of being a victim. I don't know specifically, but all I remember is being shown like a screen share of it because I can't pull anything up. So just take it with a pinch of salt, I guess. Yeah, I remember because she kept going on about the fact that she was in the document, like she was ignoring the fact that her friend had been outed as a paedophile,
Yeah.
and like the well, I'm pretty sure it was Naj's words that she was victimizing herself instead of the actual victim.
Mhm.
And I was just like, yeah, that's kind of true, but I can't recall anything that she actually said specifically. All I remember was that she kind of blew up because she was in there. And
Yeah.
that's one thing I had with the problem of the censor was because if you're putting a document out there to expose someone, the people you're exposing should not be censored.
Yeah.
I the last part was written specifically from me because I was calling Froggy out on it. And I understand the censor for Northwood, but that's why when I messaged Frains about the censor, I said for the Northwood release, it's okay to censor Froggy because she's not in, with Todd.
Mhm.
Because it was about Todd, it was to get Todd, global banned. But for the one that was released to everyone, I was fine with my name being on there, and I asked everyone who was involved, and they were like, "Yeah, it's fine. I don't mind being censored."
Yeah.
So I don't know why they were sending around a censored one that I didn't even get to see until I asked someone for it, who wasn't a
Mm.
moderator.
And her behavior there is just on par with everything I've seen, and just what I've seen around the community. So in total, I have like 1,900 hours on SL. Um, and most of that, like 99% of that, I'm gonna say like 17 to 1,800 hours is within Freya. So I'm very familiar with the type of people, the community, and who's running the place. And I know that these are not very good people. They're not, and this is just more evident now. I knew they weren't the greatest people to begin with, and over the years, that's just been proved more and more and more.
Yeah, it's like every year the kind of mod team gets worse and worse after people leave. Because like you said, you have a lot of hours. I have like 2,200, and they're all on Freya's because Freya's is the only server I ever played on when I played this game.
Mm-hmm.
But I just want to put it out there, I've been playing for like 5 years, so it's not all in like a year.
Yeah.
But the mod team used to be like, it was kind of like they were kind of serious, like as in like Discord moderator, power tripping serious. Then it kind of smoothed out, but then it just kind of spiked as soon as like a new wave came in.
Yeah,
And
that's
then,
what
of course,
happens.
then there was the first person exposed as like a weirdo who had like a weird fetish. Then there was like a
Oh
predator,
yeah, yeah,
and then it went downhill from there. And it's like to apply to Freyas to be a mod now, you either have to be like a weirdo or you got to be like someone who likes kids. Like I
yeah.
kid you not.
And that's just, it's more clear that it's an awful place when you have all these people that sign up to be moderator and quickly disband from that, and how over the years the moderation team is always fluctuating and always changing, and that just kind of highlights how either, you know, shit the place is, as well as how creepy it is. Because if you're having mods that are like, oh yeah, I'll do this, and then they see the internal stuff and they don't, and then they leave quickly after, that doesn't look good.
I think it's worse that they give these mods, like senior moderators, the power to look at IPs and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Like, isn't that a permission that they can give?
Yes.
Which I don't understand. It's a senior mod. Like, you have to rank up like what, twice?
Yeah.
So it doesn't even take that long, does it? It takes like 6 months, and then you could just grab a bunch of people's information just like that. It's like,
Yeah,
jeez.
I feel like there needs to be more in the terms of permissions there, or more time and more trust built. I know you mentioned yesterday how Todd grabbed your IP,
Yeah.
and so how did that all go down?
I think this was before, like, I think I said yesterday, but it was I think it was an older build or something, but he basically went into the server, he screen shared to me when we were in Discord, and he was like, I can see your information, and I was like, hang on a minute, what? And he went on there and he requested something, and I think it might be an older build because all that came up on screen was like a huge QR code. But I didn't scan it, I didn't do anything, it was just like, oh, haha, that's quite funny. But he was like, I can pull that at any time.
Yeah.
So I don't know what was on that QR code. I don't know if it was just my Steam ID, but from what I've seen of the new build, I don't think it was.
Yeah, and either way, it that QR code is part of it. That's your Steam ID. But with all the power that, when it comes to being the tippy top moderator, you need the ability to log IPs and log Steam IDs, so you can either IP ban or Steam ID ban. So if anyone's causing problems, you just straight up
Mm.
remove them. So that's a power he would have been needing access to, and which he had. And like I mentioned in my video, if he was insane enough to do that and then act on that grabbing of information to find out, where you are, then
Yeah,
that
because he
would have been
knows a
bad.
couple things about what I look like too. Like he's never seen my face. That's one thing I never showed him. But he'd ask me like my hair color was, my height, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And there is one thing I want to add about Steam IDs is that I think it's a mod only channel, but there is something that tells you when somebody joins a Freya server, right?
Yes.
And it says their Steam ID and their name. Todd would use that to find me when I wouldn't message him back.
Yeah, that's a thing you can set up with SedMod. It's a lot of servers use it, and you can set it up to where it does that sort of thing, where it can log absolutely everything and anything that you desire. And the fact that he had permission to see that post the fact that that original document came out is kind of crazy. He had access to that, so he, like you mentioned, he basically found you wherever you went on Freya's.
Yeah, there would be times where I'd just be like, "Oh, I really don't want to call," because one of his like things was we had to call every time we played SL. So like it would be for hours on end in a Discord call, and we'd have to unmute because he'd ask me in game and like TP to me, be like unmute, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But when I didn't message him and I'd be playing with like someone else on SL, he would go on to like the kind of log and he'd find my Steam ID and then send me a screenshot like, "You didn't tell me you were on."
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how he kind of found me.
So, back to the part about when they refused the first document, what else
Mhm.
was really said there?
um,
Because I
I
know
can.
you sent me all these screenshots of of your conversation with friends.
Yeah, that was the final document, like
Oh,
where
the
he was like,
final.
"Why is Froggy in there? Kind of, why are you doing that? Because it looks like she's an asshole." But the thing is, though, if you're portraying her and seeing her as an asshole because of those screenshots, that's probably what she is because that is the entire conversation I had with her.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing left out. If
Yep.
she says there's something left out, I can screen share my whole conversation with her. It's the entire thing. and that's why I left it in there in case she said that.
Yeah.
So that's not my fault. That's not anyone's fault. It's in there because, that's what she said. I can't change it. I haven't used AI or whatever she said. It's stupid.
Yeah, I didn't use AI in my last video, which what she claimed. So I mean, if anything comes out of this video again, where they're saying it's lies, half-baked, AI, that sort of thing, then that directly contradicts everything they've acted on and done with you, because they're basically then saying, "Oh, she's lying. It's none of this is true," and if none of it is true, so why did he get banned? You know?
Yeah, why was there everyone like, oh, we've banned a moderator because of an immediate action, by the way, which was what they said. They were like, oh yeah, it was an immediate action. No, it took like 4 months
Yeah.
from the original document. It was not immediate action.
Yeah.
They're only saying that to cover them up because they're like, if we have a good image, people will, trust us and stuff or whatever. It's just like, no.
Yeah.